Have you ever found yourself sitting across from someone, listening to them talk, and feeling like your very soul is being drained right out of your body? Like, after they leave, you're not just tired, you're exhausted, maybe a little sad, and you can't quite put your finger on why. If that feeling is familiar, you are not alone. And more importantly, what you're feeling is real. Life after 60 is supposed to be a golden time. It's your time. The years of rushing to raise kids and climbing career ladders are, for many of us, in the rearview mirror. This is the chapter where you get to rediscover yourself, to enjoy the quiet moments, and to truly appreciate the peace you've worked so hard to build. But there's one thing that can steal that peace faster than almost anything else, and it's not your health or your finances. It's the people you choose to spend your time with. You see, as we get older, the currency of our lives changes. It's no longer about how much we can do or how many people we know. It becomes about the quality of our moments. And time becomes the most precious resource we have, because let's be honest, we have more yesterdays than we do tomorrows. So, why would we spend even one of those precious tomorrows with someone who makes us feel small, anxious, or just plain worn out? Today, I want to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's so important. We're going to have a heart-to-heart about 4 types of relationships that, after 60, you have my full permission. In fact, I'm giving you a gentle nudge to consider leaving behind. This isn't about being bitter or holding grudges. It's about self-preservation. It's about curating your life for joy, not just managing it for stress. So, let's start with the first one, and it's probably the most common. The first type of relationship to consider leaving behind is what I call the energy vampire. You know exactly who I'm talking about. This is the friend or family member who is perpetually in a crisis. Their life is a never-ending series of dramas. The doctor's appointment that went wrong, the slight from a neighbor, the endless complaints about their grown children who never call, even though, if you listen closely, they push them away every time they do. Now, we all have bad days. We all need a shoulder to cry on. That's what friendship is for. But an energy vampire doesn't have bad days, they have a bad life, and they want you to be the witness to it, every single day. You get off the phone with them and you feel like you've been run over by a truck. You've given them your empathy, your advice, which they never take, your time, and your emotional energy, and in return, you get nothing. They don't ask how you are. If they do, it's just a pause before they jump back into their own story. After 60, your energy is not what it used to be. And that's okay. It's a natural part of life. But it means we have to be more intentional about where we direct it. Think of your energy like a budget. You have a certain amount to spend each day. Do you really want to spend your most valuable currency on someone who is emotionally overdrawn? It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's necessary. You can love someone from a distance. You can pray for them, you can hope for them, but you don't have to be the sole audience for their lifelong tragedy. Letting go of an energy vampire doesn't have to be a dramatic scene. It can be as simple as slowly fading out the calls. Taking longer to reply. Saying, "I'm so sorry to hear that, I hope things look up," and then gently ending the conversation. You are not their therapist. You are a human being who deserves to have your own cup filled, not constantly drained. The second relationship that often needs a hard look after 60 is the scorekeeper. This is a little more subtle and can be even more painful because it often comes from people we love the most, maybe a sibling, or even one of our own children. The scorekeeper is the person who is always keeping track. They remember every dinner they hosted, every gift they gave, every time they went out of their way for you. And they have a way of bringing it up, not always directly, but in a way that makes you feel perpetually indebted. Maybe your son says, "Well, we drove 3 hours to see you last Thanksgiving, so you should want to come to us this year." Or your sister says, "I was the one who stayed with mom in the hospital all those nights, so I think I should get to decide about the family home." It's a relationship based on transactions, not on love. Every interaction feels like a weighing of scales, and somehow, you always come up short. Living under the weight of a scorekeeper is exhausting. It makes you feel guilty for simply existing and having your own needs. You start to walk on eggshells, trying to prepay for things before they can be held against you. But here's the beautiful truth about this season of life: you don't owe anyone a debt for loving you. Real love, genuine connection, isn't a loan. It's a gift. When someone truly cares for you, they do it because they want to, not so they can cash in the memory of it later. If you have a scorekeeper in your life, it's time to stop playing the game. You don't have to argue with their ledger. You can simply step off the scale. The next time they try to tally up what you owe them, you can respond with calm grace. You can say, "I'm so grateful for all the times you've been there for me. I remember them fondly. But our relationship is so much more important to me than a list of who did what. I love you, and I'm here for you because I want to be, not because I'm keeping score." If they can't accept that, if they need a relationship built on debts and payments to feel secure, then that is a burden you were never meant to carry. And it's one you can gently put down. So we've talked about the ones who drain your energy and the ones who keep a tally of your debts. But there's another type of relationship that can be just as damaging, and it's the one that makes you shrink. Let's talk about that one next. And that brings us to the third type of relationship that, after 60, you have every right to reevaluate. This one is particularly insidious because it often wears the mask of love or concern. I'm talking about the dream stealer. You know the dream stealer. They're the person who, every time you get excited about something new, has a reason why you shouldn't do it. Maybe you've decided you finally want to learn to paint. You've always loved watercolors, and you've signed up for a class at the local community center. You mention it to this person, full of excitement, and they say something like, "Oh, honey, at our age, you'll be the oldest one in there. Won't that be embarrassing?" Or perhaps you've booked a trip, a little solo adventure you've been dreaming of for years. And they'll say, "Are you sure that's safe? What if something happens to you? It's so far away. Why don't you just stay home and we'll have a nice dinner instead?" On the surface, it might sound like they're looking out for you. But deep down, it's something else. A dream stealer is threatened by your growth, your joy, your evolution. They want you to stay exactly where you are, because if you change, if you grow, if you become more vibrant and alive, it might force them to look at the parts of their own life where they've stopped dreaming. Your light, unfortunately, casts a shadow on their comfort zone. And this is so critical to understand after 60. Society often tries to tell us that our lives should be getting smaller. We should be winding down, letting go, taking up less space. But that's not true at all. This is a time for rewilding, for rediscovering passions we put on hold decades ago. It's a time for reinvention. But a dream stealer will try to clip your wings. They will pour cold water on your spark before it can even become a flame. And if you listen to them, if you let their fear become your fear, you will end up living in a cage of their making. You'll be safe, but you'll be small. And a small life, a life without passion or curiosity, is a slow kind of fading that none of us want. You don't need permission to follow your joy, especially not now. So when you encounter a dream stealer, you have to protect that little flame inside you. You don't have to argue with them. You don't have to convince them that your dream is valid. You can simply stop sharing your dreams with them. Find other people, a new friend from that painting class, a group of travelers online, who will say, "That's wonderful. Tell me more." Guard your dreams like the precious treasures they are. Let the dream stealers mutter their worries into the wind, and you just keep walking toward the horizon that calls to you. Now, the fourth and final relationship is perhaps the most difficult to even admit to ourselves. It's the relationship that is built on history, and nothing else. I call this one the ghost of who we used to be. This is a person you've known for a very long time. Maybe it's a friend from high school, a former colleague, or even a cousin you grew up with. You have so much shared history. You've been through marriages, divorces, the birth of children, the loss of parents. On paper, this is a lifelong friend. But here's the hard truth: you don't actually like being with them anymore. You don't look forward to their calls. You might even feel a sense of dread when you see their name on your phone. When you do get together, all you do is talk about the past. Remember that time we. Remember so-and-so. The conversation is a museum of memories. And while it's wonderful to have those memories, when the present moment with someone is empty, when you can't talk about who you are now or what you're feeling today, you are not in a friendship. You're in a reunion. You've both changed. You've evolved. You've become different people. And that's perfectly natural. We are not the same person we were at 20 or 40 or even 55. The problem is, you're trying to maintain a connection with the person they used to be, and they're trying to connect with the person you used to be. The two people sitting in the room right now are strangers to each other, held together by the invisible glue of obligation and memory. This is one of the hardest relationships to let go of because it feels like you're betraying your own history. You might think, but we've been friends for 50 years. I can't just walk away from that. But ask yourself this, is the friendship real today, or is it just real back then? Is spending an afternoon with them filling you up, making you feel seen and understood for who you are now? Or does it leave you feeling a little empty, a little unseen, like you're playing a role in a play about your own life? After 60, your time is too precious to spend it on nostalgia tours. There's a difference between cherishing a memory and being trapped in one. You can honor the history. You can be grateful for the role they played in your life. You can look back on those old photos with a warm heart. But you don't have to schedule another lunch. You don't have to keep the obligation alive if the connection is dead. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for both of you is to gently release each other. It's a quiet acknowledgement that your paths have diverged, and that's okay. You're not saying the past didn't matter. You're just saying that the present does, too. So, we've taken a look at these 4 relationships, the ones that drain you, the ones that keep score, the ones that steal your dreams, and the ones that are just echoes of a former life. You might be listening to this and thinking, this all sounds so lonely. If I let go of all these people, who will be left? And that is the most important question of all, isn't it? If I let go of all these people, who will be left? It's a fear that keeps so many of us trapped in relationships that have long stopped serving us. We cling to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful, because the unknown, the idea of an empty calendar, a quiet phone, can feel terrifying. But here's the beautiful truth I want to leave you with today. Letting go isn't about creating emptiness. It's about making space. Think of your life like a beautiful garden. For years, you've been tending it, and it's full of plants. But some of those plants have grown thorny. Some of them have stopped flowering and are just taking up space, blocking the sunlight from the soil. Some of them even crowd out the new, tender shoots that are trying to grow. A good gardener knows that you have to prune. You have to pull out the weeds, and sometimes you even have to dig up a beloved old shrub that has simply outgrown its spot or stopped thriving. It's not that the shrub was bad. It was beautiful in its time. But now, it's preventing new things from blooming. When you gently release the energy vampire, the scorekeeper, the dream stealer, and the ghost of who you used to be, you are not closing the door on connection. You are tilling the soil. You are letting the sunlight in. You are creating the emotional and temporal space for new, healthier, more vibrant relationships to take root. And who will be left? You will be left. The real you. The you that isn't exhausted from managing someone else's drama. The you that isn't weighed down by guilt and a debt you never signed for. The you that is free to dream out loud without fear of being mocked. The you that is present in the here and now, not just a tour guide for your own past. When you release these heavy relationships, you suddenly have so much more energy. Energy for yourself. Energy for the hobbies you love. Energy for a quiet walk where you can hear your own thoughts. And energy to recognize and welcome the people who are better fit for this new season of your life. You might find yourself drawn to new communities, a book club, a walking group, a volunteer organization. And in those places, you'll meet people who are also curious, also growing, also excited about life. You'll meet people who ask you questions and actually listen to the answers. People who are looking for a companion for today, not just a witness to yesterday. You'll have the bandwidth to cultivate these new connections because you're no longer spending it all on the old ones that were draining you dry. This journey isn't about becoming isolated. It's about becoming selective. It's about understanding that in the second half of life, our relationships should be an addition to our joy, not a subtraction from it. They should be a place of rest, not a source of unrest. So, as you go about your week, I want you to just sit with these thoughts. Think about the people in your life. Not with judgment or anger, but with gentle honesty. Ask yourself one simple question about each relationship. After I spend time with this person, do I feel lifted up or do I feel weighed down? Your heart already knows the answer. You have spent so many decades taking care of everyone else. You have been the rock, the organizer, the peacemaker. Now, it's your turn. It's your turn to be the one who is cared for, if only by yourself. It's your turn to prioritize your own peace. It's your turn to build a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. And remember, you don't need to have any dramatic confrontations. You don't need to send a letter or make a phone call to announce your departure. Sometimes, the most powerful way to let go is simply to stop holding on. Let the calls become less frequent. Let the invitations become less obligatory. Let the weight slowly lift from your shoulders, one quiet decision at a time. You deserve a circle of people who make you feel safe, seen, and celebrated. You deserve relationships that are reciprocal, where giving and receiving flow as naturally as breathing. And most of all, you deserve the peace that comes from knowing that your time is your own, and you get to choose exactly how to spend it. I would love to hear from you. Have you ever had to gently step back from a relationship that was no longer serving you? How did it feel, and what did you learn about yourself in the process? Share your story in the comments below. You never know whose heart you might encourage by sharing your own experience. If this video resonated with you, if it felt like a warm cup of tea and an honest conversation with a good friend, please show it by clicking that like button. It really does help this message reach more people who might need to hear it today. And if you want to continue having these heart-to-heart conversations about living your best life at any age, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Be kind to yourself this week. Here's to living, not just existing. Here's to your peace, your joy, and your beautiful, unfolding future. I'll see you in the next video.